put up these cross-stitch paintings, I thought they were paintings, but cross-stitch artwork all across the place. And I first thought that these were pieces of great art, and then I found out that it was great pieces of art done by prisoners in Langata prison. The potential of that is huge, so I would really encourage everybody to look at it. What you've heard today was a very open discourse on what progress Kenya is making. And let me just quickly touch upon 4 areas that were discussed over here. Let's look at health. And I think what this young governor from Nandi said, Ambassador Stephen Sang, may actually help us not just achieve universal health coverage in the next 3-4 years, but perhaps at 1/3 the cost. It is the primacy of preventative health which will help us achieve universal health coverage. So I would really want us to carefully think about the fact that 1 million Kenyans get trapped into poverty year on year. Every year, that is the story. The only way that we can actually start to prevent this 1 million getting trapped into this is when we minimize the number of Kenyans moving into the referral system. And because all of us, when our children are born, we know that there will be about 18 to 20 diseases they will never contract because they've been immunized against it. We know that they will not suffer from the ravages of waterborne and vector-borne diseases because they've been protected against it. We know that our wives will be safe because we are able to get them access to the finest healthcare and obstetricians in order to deliver our children. We can do exactly the same here at much cheaper the cost, because the government of Kenya was a flagship in free maternal healthcare policy. The First Lady's Beyond Zero campaign has really unrelented and opened up a kaleidoscope of care. But we can change that. I think if we can actually have governors competing against each other to become public health champions in their counties and come up with just these 3 results, trust me, Excellency, within the next 5 years, Kenya can perhaps establish a blueprint of universal health coverage. Let's come on to agriculture. Excellency, back in 1966, my country, India, was in the throes of a famine. We used to lose about 1 to 2 million people a year because of famine. Lyndon Johnson, the American president, then intervened and sent 600 ships of wheat to make up for the shortfall. But along with those 600 ships, he also sent a man called Lester Brown. And Lester Brown started the Green Revolution in India. Where you saw the Green Revolution start was a place that could look like Turkana or Mandera, but those parts of India are food surplus. With a population of 1.3 billion people, India is food secure. We need the green revolutions to start here, and perhaps that $1 trillion business opportunity which is in front of us by 2030, which the World Bank and Africa Development Bank have already talked about, it is big data, it is technology, it is innovation which will transform the agricultural sector. And we can do it. We have the know-how, we have the technology, everything is here in Kenya. It's just about bringing in these perspectives of driving it. Let's talk about housing. C.S. Macharia said something very interesting. He said that we will not be able to keep up with the demand. That's fact, because by the time midnight took place today, and by the time it's 1 minute before midnight today, we would have 3,000 Kenyans who have been born. We are adding 1 million Kenyans plus every year. So when Ambassador Nick Haley talked about the primacy of family planning, it is time to seriously give that consideration. Excellency, the fact is, by 2030, our population in this country will be 65 million, and by 2050, we will be 95 million. What we can change is what we can do by 2050. And that is really to embrace the reality of family planning. This is what made South Korea's economy leapfrog ahead of everybody else when India, Nigeria, and Brazil, for example, got left behind in terms of the same macroeconomic growth. Excellency, I commend you for talking about youth and gender, and I think that would be the primacy that would take Kenya on to the next step. 1 million young Kenyans are joining the workforce every year. Barely about 100,000 jobs are being created. The Big Four provides us with that massive opportunity, and particularly manufacturing and agriculture, which will be able to help us do just that. Let's look at technology in terms of just housing. Today, there is already families in France that are moving into 3D designed homes. A family of 5 can actually move into a 3D designed home. This is where, again, we need to look at technology. That old way of bricks and mortars and tiles and everything perhaps is going away, and we need to start thinking differently, where scale will actually bring down your costs. We should not be talking about 200 or 300,000 houses. We need to talk about 10 to 20 million houses. Now, that is what is scale, and that is the level at which our ambition should be. Talking about manufacturing, the opportunity that the blue economy today gives us is historic. I commend the government of Kenya, together with Japan and Canada, for having come together to co-host such an important conference, because this, again, opens up opportunities of employment, of growth, which would never have been possible in a land-based economy. So I think what we have in front of us is absolutely incredible. Excellency, just connected with that, I think the time for you and His Excellency to push the 1/3 gender bill is crucial. I think we need more leadership of women in the public space. I think they would be able to really influence the kind of socio-economic transformation that we are looking at. We are looking at them as the engines of economic growth, and they will change the space. Civil society. We need civil society, Excellency. We need civil society to be able to be those trailblazers and reach the last mile. This is a commitment that the UN Secretary General has made to Kenya and to the world, that we will leave no one behind and reach the furthest behind first. But we can only do that when we have the right partners. And civil society partners, together with the counties, are going to be absolutely crucial. The issue of open governance. Again, congratulations, Mr. Deputy President. I think open governance actually is a window to allowing the Kenyan public and all the international community to look at how sizably Kenya is making movements towards transparency. The fight against corruption needs to be commended, what you and President Kenyatta are trying to do, and we need to scale that up. And this is what will build trust, and this is what will bring us all together to deliver as one, as entities, towards the vision that you have in front of you. Kenya, Excellency, is a beacon of hope. We are surrounded by a region of fragility. We have the Somalias and the South Sudans and everything else. Countries are looking up to Kenya to become a blueprint of development. I think the Big Four gives us that opportunity of becoming precisely that, a blueprint of development, which can potentially get replicated across all of Africa. Now, the fact of the matter is that today where we are, today the kind of progress that we've seen, despite 2017 and the challenges that we faced during the elections period, we've seen overall macroeconomic stability. Now, that's a good sign. The predictions are that between Kenya, Ethiopia, Uganda, Tanzania, Rwanda, South Africa, we would probably be seeing a double-digit growth over the next 10 years. We have to seize that opportunity, what Eastern Africa and Sub-Saharan Africa offers, and therefore the free trade agreement becomes even more crucial to allow the free movement of goods, services, and people, because this is what will start to help generate the jobs and those opportunities that we are looking at. Kenya was showcased recently at the UN General Assembly on the 1st of October. Of what would be a classic example of humanitarian diplomacy. The signing of a MOU between Kenya and Ethiopia on the border of Moyale has been seen as historic by the United Nations. It is being showcased as a potential to be replicated in other parts of Africa, and already the conversations are happening in Sahel. Your governor of Turkana hosted governors from the surrounding regions of Samburu, of West Pokot, which have seen traditional rivalry and competition, amongst themselves, into what I would term as a fine discourse of cultural diplomacy, bringing everybody together. We are at a signing of an MOU stage with Uganda on the Karamoja Belt. I believe these opportunities open up precisely those kind of economic zones that everybody is talking about, because these are also places which has the largest number of young people concentrated but jobless and in a sense of despondency. Excellency, thank you for this important initiative. This has been extremely important for us to take our collective resolve in achieving precisely the vision that President Kenyatta and you have put forth. And please know that I, as the head of the UN country team in Kenya, am fully committed to making sure that that vision, we walk with you, and together with my co-chair, Anna Jarkfeld of Sweden, we are here with you in this for the long haul. God bless Kenya.
Thank you, my friend. I couldn't ask the previous two speakers because they were ladies.